What's up, everyone? Welcome back to No Cap Space. We got the full house here today with some boots live from Vandy. Is Andrew. We also have Shawnee Greer and myself joining you here because we've had a packed day. I mean, there's still hoops going on as we speak right now, but there is a whole lot to talk about from just this one day of hoops. So we had to bring in everyone for this one because there's a lot of talking points across the entire country that we got to get into. First and foremost, we got to run it down. Code NOCAP15 with home field. You can find everything in the description below on top of NoCapSpaceWBB.com, the free newsletter to get all the print and podcast content directly into your email inbox. As always, here on the live, a super chat gets your message on the screen. And look, if you missed out on another day of basketball chat in the Discord, let's fix that. Let's fix that today. Become a member here on the YouTube or on NoCapSpaceWBB.com to become a member and be able to chat, especially as we get into postseason play. That's going to be the place to be when it comes to the Discord throughout the day. So make sure you're tapped in there. I had boots here in Norman. We'll get into that game a little bit. I also dropped all the post-game reaction from that. Andrew just dropped the post-game press conferences, and we are ready to talk Vandy and Kentucky to start us off here. Again, we have a lot to touch on. So we got Iowa to talk about. We got South Carolina, Ole Miss to talk about. We got ACC upsets. We got Jazzy versus Jelani. We got Janiah Barker in Tennessee and whatever that's going on there. We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. Let's start with you, Andrew, with the boots on the ground. Michaela Blakes did it again. I mean, like, this is this is something I've been very cognizant of personally over the course of this season, is not getting used to these things, because Michaela Blakes keeps doing these type of things. The same thing I felt with Sarah Strong at a lot of points over the course of the season. It's consistent, and that makes it even more amazing. It's not something to get used to. What were you seeing there, boots on the ground in Nashville?
I'm running out of ways to lob up questions to Shea Ralph in the post-game press conference about it. I had to physically say, Coach, I know this is the third time in 3 games that I've asked you about Michaela Blakes as a Player of the Year candidate, but because we are entering legitimately uncharted territory with how dominant this player is. I know Tyler and Shawnee know the answer to this because I did it in the pre-show. Greer, I'm going to give this to you because you will be hearing this fresh. Out of all of the national NCAA scoring champions, going all the way back to, NCAA governance in 82, who do you think is the last SEC player to be the national scoring champion?
Oh. Oof.
Yeah.
SEC?
I had the same reaction.
Hey.
Courtney Paris? No, she wouldn't have been in there.
I love that take though, girl. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Can you give me a year?
05.
2005.
I wasn't conscious.
Simone?
Yes. You got it first shot, Greer. I'm impressed.
I'm good. I'm telling you.
But just think about how
That's
crazy
a
that is.
right there.
That's a ball and a half. 21 years ago, last time an SEC player was the national scoring champion, and that was Simone Augustus at maybe 23 points per game. We are entering territory with Michaela Blakes here where if the number stays consistent all the way through to the rest of the season, she's going to be in pre-NCAA territory for SEC single season scoring. There's only ever been one SEC scorer that has gone over 1,000 points in a season, and that's Marie Jackson in 1977.
Damn.
AIAW. And right beneath her at 987 points is Patricia Roberts, who's the legendary first real star of Tennessee women's basketball. That's the territory that she's knocking on the door of if these numbers stay the same. In SEC play, after this game, another 35-point performance, mind you, Michaela Blakes is averaging 29.9 points per game in the SEC.
Anchors down, baby. Let's go.
I mean, that's dude, those are Caitlin Clark scoring numbers in an SEC league that is deep defensively. And we used to, and look, that's something that we all used to kind of joke on, when Caitlin was in college and saying oh, well, it is the Big Ten. And that's not really the most ardently defensive league, especially in the backcourt. There's not as many athletic guards back there. And whatever you want to say about whistles, yeah, I get it. Abuse the angles, man. That's part of what this game is. That's part of what the skill of this game is. You abuse the angles so you can get to the line. But even beyond that, she scored 35 points and 10 of those came from the line. This is not a player that's putting up 16 and getting there 19 times. This is a player that could score 25 off the floor before you even get to the stripe, right? And in addition to that, now you have Aubrey Galvin, who had so many friggin' he passes this game, like you would have made Olivia Miles blush. Like, it was actually, these two are just the confidence level with where they're at. Little shimmy and stack. Like, it was some real stuff out there today, you know? Like, I come away impressed with Vanderbilt every single time I watch them play. And they did this without Sacha Washington in the front court, who really is their only source of offense. But I asked Shea Ralph about it in the postgame. I was like, you have a player like Aaliyah De Rosario who, you know, she's a rim protector and rebounder. You're not passing it to her in the low block, right? And she's like, look, ultimately, we're not finding a silver bullet in the front court at this point in the season. So what we do is they know their roles, they play their roles, they play them well. And with Galvin really stepping into this role as a passer and point guard, I mean, dude, she might be one of the most electric passers in college basketball by this point. And there's still 3 more years of her left in this conference. I mean, it's crazy. Don't count out Kentucky. I will say, I thought Clara Strack had an amazing game. Here's your little juicy nugget from the press conference. Kenny Brooks called her the best center in college basketball today.
Whoa.
Yes.
Oh,
and his argument.
Why didn't they go to her late then? What's the problem?
Oh,
well, they did. They went to her in the final possession, and she got her pocket picked.
Yeah,
frankly,
but
it was good active hands.
Threes that were like, you didn't need those in those moments. You did not need
valid.
that.
Yeah, that's fair. And
what
I do agree.
Hold on, when he says.
Also, would she not be more of a 4 with Key on the floor?
Nah, she's a pure 5.
Would
She's
she
an upgraded. To me, she's an
her a 5?
upgraded Kitley. She's an upgraded Kitley. But
Not
his
the Avatar
argument was.
But
His
what
argument
country?
was this. His argument was that, saying it without saying it in full, that, you know, the other 2-3 centers up at the top there are good at certain things, not good at all of the things. And his argument was she is the best. If you put all of the things together in the aggregate, she's the best center in college basketball. Honestly, even today, notwithstanding with the loss, like I can see it. Her and Key's really good down low. This felt like a Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchup. And
Cole went 3 for 3 today.
I wanna.
We're gonna get to that. Don't worry, we're gonna get to that.
Kind of like wait my turn. Because all right.
I will say, this is my last piece. I want to officially put down the petition that we replace Duke and North Carolina every year with 2 games of Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Give me 4 Vandy Kentuckys every year and give me 0 Duke UNCs so my eyes don't bleed out.
UNC.
You had me replace Duke
You could have ended it right there, and I would have said yes.
Yes. Unequivocally.
Not a hard sell for me. But yeah, no, I mean, it's gotten to a point now with, I mean, Blake's also shot 50% today. She was 11 and 22. Like, you know, like it's not like this isn't some like egregious shot chucking or anything like that either. Like, this isn't
mercantiles, bro. It's not.
This is ridiculous. Like the level of offensive production she's been having.
Like her getting to the line is just a byproduct of being that girl. I'm sorry, because like we went from like not really talking about Michaela Blake's on the national scale to like now everybody's counting her free throws, everybody's counting her drives to the basket. She's crafty.
Been there, done that.
Threw that elbow and then got the contact.
That only happens to the best of them.
I was like, motion.
Free throw merchant chance? That only happens to the best of them. I don't know, man. I don't know,
sorry,
man.
Sisters. But it's just like, yeah, if you got it like that, you got it like that.
That's
Home
motion.
court, they know your name. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And it's just like, yeah. So now we're having to have discussions about how many free throws she's taking, which makes us have to look at her offensive game that much closer. Motion. We're here. Anchors down. Joe. We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe.
This is interesting to me because I feel like Vandy might be one of the only, maybe the only no cap space wide agenda. I feel like we've all been pretty on board with Vanderbilt for a minute.
Unifying power.
Like truly, like this has been like I think
the world.
Like I think this is really one of the most
Vandy.
Like I think we've all been pretty on board. Like we even pre-Michaela Blake's, we were like, what's going on here? Like this is something's brewing here. And then Michaela Blake's came and just completely set it off in a way that none of us, I think, truly anticipated. But this is why you listen to No Cap Space. We got you covered. We promise.
Ball knowers, baby.
We got our first super chat here from Joe. Look at that. She's more relentless to the rim than anyone else. That's part of it. You got to get to the rim to get fouled. And she is, to your point, Joe, one of the best in the country at just getting there. You got to get to these spots to even have the chance to be fouled, and that is something that she does a phenomenal job of. Thank you for the 5.
I will say this too, to Joe's point. She and, we'll talk about Jelani Cambridge a little bit later in the show. I know that people have this idea that, the only way to be an exciting guard is to have that range along the perimeter and along 3-point land. Like, dude, this is real hoops. Foul or no foul. Like, this is real hoops. Slash into the hoop is real hoops. Like, and there is a component to how the both of them play where they just attack. And there's a beauty to that. And, just because the whistles get a little tighter and today's game is maybe a little bit more constrictive in terms of punishing someone for trying to get down to the hoop and get downhill and attack the basket, it's just a function of what it is, man. It is.
And I will say this as somebody who's watching a player who led the nation in scoring and is still trying to get to the hoop, and it's not working out the same way as it is for Michaela Blake's. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, family. It's a skill. It's a byproduct of the motion. I'm sorry.
We got another super chat here from KGB. Thank you for the 5. Again, super chat. Bless you. Super chat gets your message on the screen. Look, we're getting to this territory to a degree. Is Vandy winning Freshman of the Year, Coach of the Year, Player of the Year? The fact that we can even genuinely have this conversation is such a massive compliment to Vandy. I don't think they're gonna pull off the sweep, but I don't think anyone's taking that from Jazzy, especially what we just saw today.
I'm so sorry, family, but that jumper,
Galvin had another really good day today.
To put the nail in the go-ahead shot today, right?
I'm sorry. That just Jazzy had a very rough go at the beginning of the season, but she was not making the headlines that we thought she would. So I'm glad she's finding her footing, but I'm kind of I'm not ignoring. Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
It's hard because Jazzy had expectations coming in, whereas Galvin was an unknown quantity.
Totally unknown.
True. Which to me makes and that's, to go for, is it harder to start from here and go up, or is it harder to start from nothing and then be here? So that's for them to decide what their philosophy on that is, because
there's one other player too.
From here,
there's one other player too.
This is true.
Leah Chavez.
And when we talk about motion, this is true.
But that's also the Jazzy one, she's $1 million player. She emptied your pockets, shook y'all upside down, came there.
I sold so many Chili's marks. It was crazy.
Man.
But yeah, I think personally my vote, I think Shea Ralph has Coach of the Year.
Locked up.
I think that's a lock. Player of the Year is still it's obviously Michaela and Sarah, and we'll kind of see how that.
But
I think that's going to
really
be narrative.
Who they play today? Providence? Man, come on now.
Well, and I think that'll be it's going to be very much a matter of I think that's going to be voter opinion, because I think you can kind of make the case for either. And then Freshman of the Year, I think is probably the race that is the biggest race that they have to
most interesting one.
Make in that way.
I would like to see UConn in the SEC just 1 year, just 1 year, just see what happens.
Gino out there looking like Kim Caldwell.
Hell, hold on.
Hold on. That's facetious.
That was wicked. That was wicked.
Come on, you think I really do my Paisan like that, please?
Oh, no.
I can see it. You told them to walk to the bottom of the ocean if we lose this game. I can absolutely see it.
Hey,
I just say not crashing out, but
there is a method to that madness. Do we want to talk crash out now, or do we want to talk Iowa real quick?
Let's talk Iowa.
Let's do Iowa.
Let's talk Iowa. So belt to ass. Just straight up. 62-44 beat Michigan. And Michigan is certainly, we've discussed Michigan where it's kind of hard to gauge exactly where we place them, because we've seen very good Michigan against really good teams. We've seen down by 20 Michigan against really good teams, but we've seen them always kind of come back and be able to at least make games out of those things, but you just don't know exactly where the truth is in that. There was no comeback in this one. The absolute domination in the paint from Ava Hayden and the kind of two-man game with Stolke, the perimeter defense from Iowa. This is kind of getting back into form of what we were seeing and so impressed by with Iowa, in the sense of kind of starting on the defensive end and being able to play through their bigs. And more of a kind of pre-Caitlin style of play when it comes to knowing Iowa women's basketball. Dude, I mean, goodness gracious, this is an incredible way to bounce back for Iowa, especially in the build-up to the Big Ten tournament. Where are we at with after this one? I mean, this is, again, just belt straight up.
This is like Michigan being like saying Timu Vanderbilt is like rude to Michigan,
Damn.
but like but it is like
I understand what you're
Vanderbilt
saying,
is like a rich man's Michigan. Michigan is like a poor man's Vanderbilt, right? Where you have Olivia Olson, you have Mila Holloway, you have Silas Swords, but none of those three players are Michaela Blakes and Aubrey Galvin, right? And yet their team is built in a similar way. I wish Michigan could utilize Ashley Silfelkanich a little bit more, but she's kind of like in that Patriot League Player of the Year mold, which she was when she arrived, which means offensively she can give you the buckets, but defensively, can she give you what you need at this level? And there is a chasm there between an Ava Hayden and somebody like her. Yeah. And that, I think, is Michigan's Achilles heel in a way that, frankly, even today, I thought that was Vanderbilt's Achilles heel with Clara Strack. And Vanderbilt just happens to have a guard that is not, I don't know if we want to call her generational, but she is doing a generational thing. She is having a generational season. Michigan is a very good team, but still lacks in the front court. And it is very interesting to watch Iowa under Jan Jensen go back to what made Iowa great, right? Like pre-Caitlin Clark, who was that girl? Pancake Mama herself, Megan Gustafson. And Ava Hayden is showing vibes of Meg, but the upgrade that I see, there's a physicality and an intensity there where like Meg in college was kind of, in what we expect Big Ten players to kind of be, right? They're fun, but they're not entirely physical. And then they get to the WNBA and you start to really see that lack of physicality show itself where an elite player in that conference may be like a little bit less than that because there's just an element that they were missing in their development in college. Ava Hayden has that now and is a sophomore. Like there's a lot of surface here where she can get into like what Meg was at Iowa territory. Maybe not a 28 point per game scorer like Meg was, but somebody that you can run a whole offense through and feel really, really good about it. And even if Hannah Stolke's just, she had 11 today, even if Stolke's not that type of player that we thought she'd be, I still think she's a nice foil for Hayden in that way that makes the two of them really hard to contend with.
Yeah. I mean, Stolke ends the game with 7 assists, I think is notable there when you think about the 2-man aspect that they've been able to develop over the course of this. That's what I am kind of looking at here. Obviously not the highest scoring game. We've kind of talked about this with Stolke before too, where it's like, it doesn't always have to be leading in each stat category, but you could just tell when Hannah Stolke is impacting a game. And I think that's kind of similar to what you're seeing here. We got a super chat here from KGB. This is to me the entire story. 40 paint points for Iowa, 44 total points for Michigan. That
tells the story.
It's gracious. And that sums it up very quickly, frankly. Thank you for the super chat. Again, super chat, get your message on the screen. I've said this about Ava Hayden before, and it's something I'll say again here. I think my favorite thing about Ava Hayden, get the ball, score the ball. There's no like backing down. There's very limited unnecessary movements, especially for a younger player. She just gets the ball, scores the ball.
Not bringing it down. She's going right up with it.
It kind of reminds me of
with her post play is incredible.
Ooh, it would make Rashard blush.
It reminds me a lot of how Oregon State system is and how Reagan Beers used to play an Oregon State system where it was like she'd get it right in the post and there would be no like dribble in the paint. It was literally get it, catch it high, turn in, bucket. And that was basically the entirety of their strategy and scheme. And I do think if there is one thing that I think the Pac-12 schools or former Pac-12 schools have brought into the Big Ten a little bit, I do think they have brought more athletic and more intense front courts versus what the Big Ten was like pre-COVID. And I think that's why to me, I look at Hayden as like a more physical player in that sense, because I feel like there is just more challengers in the deep paint that 7 years ago, I don't know if the Big Ten had it with the same degree of regularity. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah, she's a West Coast girl, right? She's from Oregon.
Oregon,
kind of one that got away. If you're one of the Oregon schools, because man,
big time.
Yeah, what she looks like she's about to do for Iowa is transformative.
Shout out Big Ten,
bro. My kingdom for a Katie Fiso, Ava Hayden high-low tandem in Oregon. God damn,
the only person,
the only man who's worried about that. But no, you're right. Shout out to Jan, because like I think a lot of people had the expectation that there was going to be this kind of like, okay, I was going to go back to like first round perennial team that maybe makes some Sweet 16s, you know, every couple years. Nah, man, this is like a perennial. We are challenging to win the Big Ten every year. And part of that, I think, is Caitlin changing the complexion of that program as like a place where you can win a championship. But Caitlin's been gone for a couple years now, and it's on Jan to be the one to keep that going. And that's a coach that does that. And so I think she deserves a lot of credit.
You know how we feel about Big Jan.
Come on, Big Jan. Big Jan. That's Big Jan.
Yeah. I told y'all it's that the Office meme where Dwight looks. It's like, how did you get here? Like that's Iowa now.
Big Jan with her coffee, man. It's always there. It's always there. Super chat here from Joe. Michigan needs an offensive coordinator. Do we like how like the order of operations with Michigan? Like because they don't have the big in the sense of the defensive side, but they do a little bit offensively. Like, there's a lot of talent there. And like the potential for people that can go and score the ball, but sometimes the order of operations can seem a bit off at times. Like I don't know exactly if that has been established in the way, and I think maybe that's what Joe is kind of getting at. There is what is the number? Like we have multiple people that could be number one options to a degree on a given night.
If you had Olivia Olsen-Motor with Swords finesse, like it would be the perfect combination. They both have other things that the other needs, like very badly.
They feel reminiscent of like Ohio State of the last couple of years, where it's like, I love all your guards. Who in your front court is going to save you in March? You know, they have that feeling to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like I said, we've seen them play with the best and compete with the best, and we've also seen them go down by 20 to some of the best. And again, to me, the big thing I say now here is that they never got going in this one. At least in like the Vanderbilt game, the UConn game, they were able to battle back. That it was, I mean, total knockout in this one. Like it wasn't even close, frankly, in this. And that's maybe one of the more worrying things, where at least you leave with positives from the other games against, you know, some high ranked opponents. You ain't get any of that here with this one. But yeah, again, Iowa. Getting back into form. I mean, when you had the injury earlier this year, you go on the losing streak in LA. Just kind of terrible timing across the board with that. And now it seems like they're kind of getting back into form a little bit. And that's very intriguing going into Big Ten tournament, because UCLA is an absolute machine.
You know how Cambridge is going to get for them too, right?
Facts.
Like,
yeah.
More than any other Big Ten school, right? So. They're going to be playing essentially home games in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
every game's a home game. I know that's right.
That's motion. That's fire. Okay, we want to transition to the city of Norman and some of the
double boots.
Double boots. Yeah. If you missed it, I gave my recap of the entire game and everything, and kind of what I had heard boots on the ground about Janiah Barker. And that's here on the YouTube for my extensive thoughts. But to sum it up, Janiah Barker was not on that plane to the city of Norman, and was said to be just not upholding the standards of the program, is how Kim Caldwell described it. I should we pull up the question that I asked her? I have that real quick here.
Yeah.
Let me get that up, and just to paint the full picture here. Here is Kim Caldwell from the press conference.
Coach, we obviously know Janiah today. I was wondering if you could just send any additional light on the situation with her. And we heard on the broadcast the idea of the standards.
The way she perks up.
Wondering from your perspective, what are you trying to see those standards be and be reached from her?
Yeah, no, she didn't meet team standards, didn't make the trip. We'll fix it when we get back. She's got a bright future. She'll be fine.
A bright future? Bro, she's like 29 and this is like her fourth team. Like, what are you talking about?
Thank you. Nah, I think Shawnee's right here, bro. I mean, her and I are in lockstep on this.
Kim gets so frazzled when stuff starts going awry, because like even then, like she perks up, and so I'm like, okay, she must want to like she got something to say, and then she says that, and I'm like,
it was very coach speak. I will say there was,
but it was panic coach speak. Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense.
yeah,
She should have just been like Corey Close.
Well, you know, I mean,
like that's what I would do from here on out.
I will say there was some aspects later on, because obviously there's not much to make from that answer directly, but there was some aspects about I forget the exact question, but it was essentially along the lines of, okay, like, you play Oklahoma close. This isn't some like terrible loss that you go and suffer. Like, what do you take from this, and like, what are you hoping to build off of with that? And with that, it was about playing for Tennessee and like playing for the team. And I was like, oh, okay, that's
all right.
So I might have a differing opinion here when it comes to this whole Kim Caldwell situation that I'm kind of been brewing. This might actually end up being a good thing for Tennessee as a whole. This disaster of a season.
I think I know where you're going with this take.
Here's my pivot. Okay, I saw Jada Silva, a freshman, hoop today.
Yeah,
we know who's coming in with Big O, Olivia Edwards. There has been this struggle for anybody to live up to the hype of and the status, the legacy of Pat Summitt. 100%. I mean, obviously, it's hard to match that. What I think that we could be seeing, and ultimately the caveat here is that you got to win games, and you got to win games fast next year. But what I think could potentially be happening here is this disaster of a season might be Kim Caldwell's Tennessee, the standards finally being set, and it being set separately from what was Pat Summitt's standards being set there. And with that, it's no off the court stuff. No, what we don't know exactly what happened with Janiah Barker, but I mean, it seemed like there was some locker room issues there. I'll put it like that. And you're talking about effort on the court. If these are the things that your freshmen are locked into, a very talented freshman class, and who the people coming in, the recruiting class that seems to still be locked in, if these are the standards that are being set, yes, this year might be a disaster. And you might need to pick up a win or two to make people believe in what I'm trying to pitch, this glass half full vision of this. But I think there's something to be said about, you have these older players that aren't delivering in the way that you need them to. And there is, to a degree, an example being made of that. And I think in the long term, if Tennessee is locked in with Kim Caldwell, this could end up being a net positive for the program as a whole 5 years down the line, if Kim Caldwell ends up being the one that the Lady Vols want to stick with as their head coach. But you got to win games. That's ultimately the biggest caveat here. And it's separate from the system dialogue as well, which is a whole different thing when it comes to Kim Caldwell. But I'll lob it up to y'all when it comes to, that's what we know when it comes to Janiah Barker right now.
I guess I'm kind of like, it depends on what's going on behind the scenes. Because it's like, yeah, that sounds good, but it's not like these older players are left over from Kelly Harper. Like, you went and got Janiah Barker. Because again, it's like her third, fourth team. So it's like, that's on you. You went and got a player with Final Four experience that we didn't know hated Corey Close until the handshake line this year, and you brought her in. So it's like, if people aren't producing to the level that they were last year when everything was cool, and now it's just like crash out central all the time, like, something's like, there's still something that would concern me as a parent sending my child there. Like, what happens when, things go off the rails? Can she reel it back in? No. And it's not like, again, you're not trying to reel back in Holly Warlick recruits and like, these people were here and I'm trying to pay respect to them because they laid the blah, blah, blah. You went and got them. So if you can't control your own people that you got there, when the growing pains start happening, because like everything's not going to be golden those first, that first year, they're going to take their lumps. Like, what do? Do you crash out? Do you do the stuff that you just did in the media and make, like try and motivate them through slandering them? Like, there's still some things that concern me about her and how she's handled all of this that like set the precedent for the future. But it's like, if you really are like, all right, let me just go full scorched earth because I want everybody to not use an extra year, get out. Like, I want to piss you off to the point where you got to go and I got new stuff coming in. I still don't like that because, again, you brought these people in. So it's really weird. I'm still not feeling great about her, but like it could, turn around. I hope so because I like Big O. Like, she's a gem. Yeah. On and off the court. So I just, best of luck to her, man.
Like with the part of me feels like the well has been poisoned already because you get former UT alums like an Andrea Carter today on the broadcast talking about the lack of culture, right? With this team. I feel like that's not the only instance of like murmurs we've heard, right? With like the UT intelligentsia, right? Like we know that there's gonna be demands there, right? And like wrong or right, like they are one of the blue bloods of women's basketball. The reality to me is like they lost to a better Oklahoma team today. That's just the facts. Oklahoma is a better team. Like Talasia Cooper still played a great game today. Yeah. And I think they're on a losing streak right now, obviously. But like to me, they were supposed to lose this game today. Do you want to give up 100 to OU? Probably not. But like OU has done that repeatedly this season.
Yep.
Put up those kind of offensive numbers. This is just a survive this year and get out. I don't know if she's gonna be able to convince the powers that be that she's still the right person for this job. But like I don't want to say like the Kim Caldwell experiment has failed. Like again, they have a great recruiting class coming in. They're back on the top 10, top 5s of a lot of prospects out there. If you were expecting like Pat 2.0, like that's probably a you problem.
And to be clear, she's not all that far off Pat in substance, bro. Pat was hard. Do not let anybody tell you that like, this grandmotherly version of Pat Summitt is there, man. Like go back to when Pat Summitt was Kim Caldwell's age and hear the stories from former Lady Vols about how much of a hard ass Pat was. Granted, it was a very different time and it was a very different style of coaching. But like, we got to be a little honest about what the backdrop of a lot of this stuff was, and this is the issue that I think I have with a lot of what's happening right now is I agree with your point, Shawnee. You built this roster. You knew Janiah Barker was something of a flight risk, like whether it be how she left A&M, whether it be how she left UCLA, whether it be the fact that people have had the expectations for years and years and years at this point that she'd be a lottery type of player and has never really done that outside of a couple of, games here and there over the course of her career. I think we have sort of memory hold the Ruby Whitehorn stuff in two senses of the word. First of all, Ruby Whitehorn was at worst the third best player on this team, at best the best player on this team. Like this was not a situation where like you lose a beloved locker room presence and like you still have the core. She was supposed to be your star this season. So it makes sense that you lose a player like that. And yeah, there's probably 4 or 5 games here that could have been swung with a player that could have given you 20 and 10 in a game like that, right? The other piece of it too is, yes, the second case and the second arrest was touch and go. I absolutely understand that. I understand some of the cultural components of like, how hard ass are we going to be about weed when it is what it is, kind of all over, right? But the first charge is a little bit more serious than that, and South Carolina fans had words for LSU and Michaela Williams had a similar charge. LSU fans had a similar set of words when Ashton Watkins caught her charges. Like, regardless of how those cases individually ended, the understanding was the same that, how the coaches handle this relative to the seriousness of what we're looking at is something worth conversation. Right. And it didn't seem until the second charge happened that anything was going to be done about that. They were going to let her sit for, a game or two as the other teams did. And it was just going to go. And so I don't really know what you do if you're Kim Caldwell. I've said this over and over, but I think this is just a lost year and you just got to eat it. And to your point, Tyler, maybe Tennessee needs rock bottom to rebuild itself because we're getting into this weird place with Tennessee where it's like the standard is the standard. What is the standard? What is the standard? What's the standard been for the last decade, bro? Like we're starting to talk about y'all like we talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And at a certain point, when is it
never do that? Oh no.
So look, maybe you do need to purge it. maybe you do need to purge the attitudes that seem prevalent in that building about what this program needs to be from a standard and culture perspective. And frankly, I don't see much of an issue with the two major pieces of outside of the public comment, which, yes, that was dumb. And I think we can all agree that that was a dumb thing for a coach of her age to do. Vic Schaefer did it a week later. So I'm not going to crush her like she's the only individual in college basketball that's doing this kind of thing. But like, the two situations that you have, agreed, but like the two situations that you have are someone who got arrested twice in the span of a month and a player that's been known to be something of a flight risk. And I don't want to use the term malcontent, but somebody that has not gelled well in locker rooms before. And one locker room in particular that is, like, by all accounts, the happiest locker room in all of women's college basketball, and you couldn't make it work there. So like, is this really on the coach? Like,
yes,
you know,
like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think,
and you're right. You're totally right, Shawnee. Like, this is on her in some way too, and that's the thing that's hard about it.
Because, like, you don't go and get a bunch of crash outs your second year. You just made your job significantly harder. Because now the easy.
She only got one, though. She only got one.
That's all it takes. That's your leader. Everybody follow the leader, and now we're all crashing out. And now we're not.
I think it's just like, leave the Lambos at home, put the Lambos in the garage.
And because the easy fix here is you go find you a Sarah Puckett, someone that's gonna sit in that press conference and say yes, ma'am, yes, sir. That's gonna have intense manners in these things and be your public face. And an accent is preferable, but not necessary. But like, get you a Sarah Puckett to help rebrand the image. Because if you're trying to have a style of play and be like, okay, we're intense, but we're upholding the standard. That you got to have people that are gonna buy into that. If you got people that are just like on their last strike, again, you've just made your job harder. So good luck to her, because I feel like she's got the pieces talent-wise, but it's like somehow only Kim Mulkey is the crash out whisperer. Like, she seems to be the only one to figure out.
And even sometimes that doesn't work. Like,
and no, like, the car didn't explode until after a championship. So, if it flames across the finish line, have at it.
It still gets across the finish line nonetheless. You know? And I'll say this too, like, at a job like Tennessee, you know, if we are talking about this, because I know KGB put something in the chat here, and I want to draw attention to one thing here. If you go through this whole thing again, you're going through another circus. As an athletic department, you want to do that? You want to go get Carl Lawson? Sure, fine. There's plenty of positive metrics to support that. I will frame it this way so people can understand what I'm saying without people needing to understand what I'm saying. Do you think Joe Mazzulla would do well in college basketball? And if you think yes, then Carl Lawson is your coach. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think that's two different problems. One is a psychopath. And
hey, look, you want to look. The analog from people in the basketball world, if you know about kind of how Cara is like competitive and cagey, and like there's conversation about Duke about like her affect with like the college people you have to ingratiate yourself to being a little funky. And Tennessee is a glad-handing job. You know what I mean? So like you have to do that if you want to do that, right? So I don't know.
Like, at least Cara has the cachet to like come in and do some of that stuff. You don't have the leeway. Like, we gave you grace, you know, because you didn't take maternity leave and you came straight out of the ward into the game. Like, okay, that was admirable. Girls rock, women power. Cara would come in with like a history and then be like the you know, protege.
I don't even know that that's worth it. No shade as a black one. Is it even worth it? You're already at the mountaintop with Team USA. If shit doesn't go right in Tennessee because you took that job and you left Durham for Knoxville,
the Duke recruiting and stuff like that is like operating like that. That is now up and running for her. Like the work has now been put into,
and then being like you already had the little history with Dawn, right? Like, we're not friends.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
Like
God.
it's just.
So as a Messiest
Bring
person,
that to Tennessee. Because that's
Carolina.
we about
Let's
to get that with Ole Miss. I would prefer that.
Let's reconsider. Hold
Let's
on.
talk about it.
This
Let's
might
talk
act,
about it.
I actually think it's a great idea. I think we should do this instead. That is
Hey,
that is where I'm at with it.
what I will say is Tennessee does have an unhealthy attachment to blonde hair and blue-eyed coaches, so Cara would not be of the right fit. Sorry.
Well, I mean, well,
They can prove me wrong. They can always prove me wrong.
what a great time to pivot. So here's the thing. You mentioned South Carolina belts.
Absolute multiple belts.
Go, Shawnee. Would you? Here's the thing. Ole Miss.
Sarah?
We kind of discussed it.
Did I say Cara? My bad.
Yeah, we kind of discussed it, Andrew and I, when we did the LSU video, LSU Ole Miss, where it's like that fourth quarter. I mean, Ole Miss is scheduled with the winter storm that put all these games in, and Tennessee's kind of suffering from a similar thing with it. The schedule at this point of the season in the SEC, brutal. I think it's like 5 games in 10 days or something of the nature. Like it's wicked. It's so like the idea that like the tires are kind of falling off here at this point, but in this stretch, not surprising in that manner. But 85-48, goodness. Johnny, I'll let you call the ISO here on the game itself, but I know we want to kind of get into the post game comments as well that we had.
Yeah, because I was talking to my dad about this. Like, yeah, they're going through everybody goes through a hard SEC stretch. So this one is theirs. So I think if they had played South Carolina first at the beginning of this stretch and had those fresh legs, they would have lost by 25 instead of 40. So I do think like it would that's kind of where some of that came from. Because, Cody already had that 39-point game. She has been balling over that stretch. I'm going to give her that. So a 2-point, having it in your swing with Raven Johnson in your face after all of that, like, yeah. But I still think, it would have been a 25-point game. They are the Atlanta Dream of the SEC. They're not ready to beat South Carolina yet. I knew pregame when the March Madness account posts Asia Wilson talking to the team that morning, I guess at breakfast. I'm like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I need
How's she going to motivate you to beat her team?
She's not. So she's going to give you like the best platitude she's got to, make this moment possible. But like, Yo is like, oh yeah, this is like my little sister. And I'm like, since when? What are you talking about? But like, that would have pissed me off. Because let me say something. As a Gamecock fan, I need y'all to understand. You get nothing. There is no benefit to being our play cousins. You don't get a piece of the championship. You don't get invited to the parade. You're not going to be in our documentary. It's not going to save your job. None of this works out for you in the long run. So it's like you might as well just like buck up and try and beat us. Because this right here, if I was one of the Ole Miss fans that she was trying to chastise into coming to games, I'd been like, for what? You over here playing footsies with your big sisters. You are not serious right now. Because that is not a serious move. And if I was a player, that would piss me off. Why is she here? I don't care that she's a legend. Like, nobody else be doing that. It's one thing for, like, who was that? Jelani Cambridge to be like, it's my dream to see Asia Wilson at the sidelines of a game. And she comes and watches Ohio State versus Illinois.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's cool.
That makes
Fire.
sense.
Yeah, that was dope.
That makes sense. Inspiring the next generation. You, in order to win the SEC, it goes through South Carolina. And if you're not ready to at least try and beat South Carolina, because we're in year 8, Ole Miss has never beat South Carolina. They've gotten
inside single digits once in her whole career.
So you're actually doing worse than Kimberly Mulkey, who has also not beat us since she's been in the SEC.
Kimberly.
So I'm like, we need to have
Caldwell still. I had to go through the Rolodex real quick.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's multiple Kims that can't beat us. I'm sorry. It's Kim Wicked. Let me specify. It's a whole lot of people that are 0 for Don. And it's like, if we talking about one, we need to talk about other. Because I'm just like, you doing this whole bit and routine and like, I'm just happy to be here when your team, like 1 minute you want everybody to take you seriously AP needs to do their job and watch our games and da 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 da. And the next minute you like, hey guys, can we go to Chop Steakhouse? Are we going on Main Street? Like we in 5 Points? We at the Vista? What we doing at the notch? Yeah, we on to it. Yeah, let's get some Bojangles, guys. Like no, like cut it out and grow up. Because this, again, like I said, the competitor in me as a fan who likes banter, like it means more to me when I can say like, yeah, this was your Super Bowl and we sent you home. Like LSU, we got your best effort and it didn't matter. This is just like, all right, man, move around. You two fanned out. I can't respect it. You are too
I agree.
out.
I agree. And it's tough, right? Because it's like 4 games in 10 days. This team's exhausted. Sirachinu's hurt. Cody McMahon's probably wiped. Like you knew going into this game that, I mean, the fact that 2 people on the panel in the pregame were like, "Oh man, like Ole Miss." No, dog. Like
I'm not
Yellow admitted it herself. Like this time last week, basically, it was like,
yeah,
I'm not happy with it. Basically, she was writing.
There's a vendetta.
She was priming. Yeah, she was priming. And like, but that's the thing that bothers me is like, I agree with Shawnee completely here. Who are you doing recruiting for? You know, like high key, like you're making Dawn Staley's job easier to recruit in this conference, and you are an opposing coach in this conference. Like what? And I'll say this, man. I understand the importance of Coach Yo and Dawn Staley, right? And where they stand in the SEC among active Black women coaches and how important it is to have that. You know, you need, especially in a conference like this, to have those people at the top not be people that are, you know, undercutting one another or sniping one another. And that's kind of where the Kara Lawson-Dawn thing, I think, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because it was viewed as like, yo, there's a limited number of us in here. We shouldn't be doing this thing where like we're trying to ankle hit one another just to get a leg up when everybody else kind of is in the fraternity. But that's but that to you is, to your point though, that's kind of the thing is like, there's
no, because like we're at a point now where if you're not kissing the ring and you're not bowing down, now it's seen, because Kara did not say anything but no, we don't have a relationship. And she didn't really, you know, praise her as like, you know, her OG and who she, you know, bows down to. And I'm okay with that, because as long as you're not doing anything to, like you said, snipe at her and undercut her, you don't have to kiss butt. It's fine. And I would actually prefer that, because to me, Kara still has an attitude of South Carolina is the standard. That's where we want to be. So I can't be too friendly with you if I'm trying to knock you off your spot. And I'm okay with that, because again, it doesn't turn into anything else outside of just being competitive. But with it's like, yes, you can say she's the standard and she inspired you and all of that good stuff, but there gets to a point where you have to, do you want to beat this woman or do you want to praise her? Do you want to set up for taking the job when she's replacing her? And that's the other thing. Be a little more subtle with that.
But not only that, you also got to win more. If you want to be the person that one day replaces Dawn Staley, you better show that you have the ability to go to the Final Four at a school like Ole Miss, who, mind you, is historically relevant. Like, there's a fair argument that if Coach Yo goes to the Elite Eight at any point in her career, she is the second best and, you know, most impressive coach behind Van Chancellor, who's the legend there. But like, Van took them to 3 Elite Eights and won the SEC once, right? Like, this was never a situation where like Van Chancellor was in the Andy Landers tier or in the in the tier like the Joe Ciampi tier, where like there was a period of time in which they were competing with and contending and beating Tennessee and Pat Summitt. Like, Van's teams were kind of solid, but they were sort of in that tier to half tier below
historically. We're not talking about those standards though. We're talking about South Carolina standards. So that's my point. Yeah, if I look at you and I look at your resume, what is the best point to a South Carolina fan for her to replace on? Oh, they beat us. Yep. Yeah. If you know what? She got it done against us. Yeah, let's get her on our side.
It feels like a play for Twitter. Like, we'll call it what it is. Like it feels like you're kind of contentifying this game every year. And I think that bothers me as much as it bothers you, Shawnee, because I'm like, I like Coach O. Like, I want to root for Ole Miss. I said this last week on the show. Like, I like Ole Miss as, you know, a program that can compete and contend every year because that's who they've been historically. And I like the synergy, to borrow a techie term. Like, I do like the synergy of having historically relevant teams be good now, because I think that does more to bridge the history of this game in a more effective way than having every team that's come up be a team that's come up in the last 2 decades, right? And Ole Miss is one of those teams where you can go back and trace history dating back to the 1980s.
Right.
But if you want to do this, you can't show up to this game every year like you're a golfer on day 4 at the Masters and Tiger Woods shows up wearing his red and you're like, I guess it's over for me before it even began. No, go out and try and win. Go out and try and win. This is not a vacation to Columbia, and when they show up, it's not a reunion to Oxford. And to be clear to everybody who's wondering about it, like, we did not like when North Carolina did this either. When North Carolina played South Carolina and lost, and Asia Wilson is showing up in the locker room for North Carolina, all of us collectively too were like, "It's so weird. Like, don't you want to beat these guys?" Like, and I get it. Like, she is a GOAT level player, and I understand that. But like, doing it before a game is just, I don't get it. You know, after a loss, maybe to say hi, but
it's
before
be
the
awesome,
game,
man.
you play the team that's her alma mater. It's like, what?
And then this is not the SEC team that's like coming to this game undefeated, defending national team. Like, they're not that.
Yes,
like, you know what I mean. This is like a down year for South Carolina in the fact that they don't have some of the star players that we've grown accustomed to watching them with. Like, the opportunity was here to say, we're here just like they're here.
And I've been kind of out on them since they hired Coach CeeLo Green. I'm not with it.
Let's talk about it.
With it.
Why that, man? He should have a show cause.
I, as somebody who spent a lot of energy on the Atlanta Dream and watched it go down the way it went down, I'm seeing it all over again. And I'm just kind of like, I can't, like you said, we can't tell your story and tell it properly and, like, you know, give you the flowers you deserve if you do this, you know, because like, I want Alicia Gray to be in the MVP conversation, but she can't beat Asia. You know, you high-fiving Asia in the middle of the game while your team is falling apart. And then it just kind of didn't really matter. Like, that's what I'm saying. We can't get these stories. We can't get good stuff when you're doing that, man. So it's like you said, to wrap it up, you don't have to undercut. You don't have to backbite. You don't have to do this. And you can politic for the future or whatever. But, like, winning would mean so much more than any of this other stuff.
And it's not even just winning. Don't get blown out of the gym. You took them to OT about 4 or 5 years ago, that 64-57 game in overtime. That's the last time you got even remotely close to the South Carolina team. And to be clear, this South Carolina team has turned around in a really big way. Medina Okut hitting 3-pointers. Like, are you serious?
Do we want to talk about that?
Let's do it. Because you know what? I think if there is a coach of the year argument to make for Dawn Staley, I think where South Carolina is at this point feels like the argument, because this was a team, again, that we thought had the possibility of being down this season. Tessa Johnson has stepped into this role of becoming the guard everybody wanted her to be. And I will say, man, whatever your opinions are about Raven Johnson or Tanaya Latson going from a 25-point per game score to like a 16 or 17-point per game score, Dawn, every year that people like slag her for something, responds by building a roster that is basically one big giant middle finger to her doubters. Losing to Iowa in the Final Four, and everyone's like, well, that's because Dawn doesn't have perimeter shooters. You go out, you get Tessa, you go get Tahina Pau.
And now who can guard Tessa?
Yeah, and now who can guard Tessa? And like, you're shooting 40%.
They got t-shirts.
Camilla Cardoso, and now last year everyone's like, well, Dawn doesn't develop guards. Now you've got 3 guards that can beat you in 3 totally different ways. And it's just like, I do love the fact that you are such a good coach. You can build your roster around spiting your enemies. That is like, I yearn for that level of proficiency in my job.
Hate that.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But dude, this Gamecock team, like, you know, we're doing, I think this year we've done it a little bit where, you know, other shiny, bright objects have kind of passed across, and I think UConn were kind of doing it's weird. The top 3 teams, I feel like because we are so of the belief that the 3 top teams, South Carolina, UCLA, and UConn, we just have more or less sharpied them into the Final Four, that we've sort of just not talked about them as their own entities this year. But man, South Carolina's been awesome this whole year with a roster that we didn't think was going to be there.
Yeah. No.
I've been glazing. Tyler.
No, Greer. I heard Greer pushing Raven Johnson propaganda. I couldn't believe what was coming through my speakers. I mean, this was, but yeah, I mean,
I don't know what happened because I've been talking about Sarah Strong and AZ, and now Greer's a Raven Johnson.
Dude,
we did a Jersey swap.
We are the
world. It all goes back to Vandy.
And even Medina, early in the season.
Yeah,
I was glazing in the chat with Chard.
Oh, I remember you were talking about her as a higher draft pick than anybody had
off their roster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I saw that 3.
I remember.
Well, I'm a believer.
Look, speaking of Virginia guards. Oh, what a transition! Come on,
Kimura, let's
Come
go.
on,
let's
Johnson.
talk about it, Coach Mox.
We got some
baby.
ACC upsets. Andrew, you just said it. Coach Mox. Like the Virginia, like they had the NIL influx. Like this, like Kamar Johnson has been the player to try and build this around. This season, it has like there's been steps. It hasn't had like the marquee season that maybe like the influx you kind of hope for in that way when it comes to like the money coming in. But I do believe in like what is being built with Coach Mox. Like I think it's been steady steps every season. This is a massive win over Louisville. Not only that, but then you also have kind of Clemson in a similar position to a degree of like the steady steps that you're seeing. Clemson, especially on the recruiting path, what they've been able to accomplish and what they have coming in, being able to upset Duke. We've kind of, I think we said, okay, kind of in a similar way, we're just talking about the top 3. Kind of in the ACC, it's been a little bit of that too. It's like, okay, Duke, Louisville are clearly the 2 best teams in this conference right now. And we'll wait till we see them play again after we saw them play the first time. Clemson and Virginia just immediately made this a bit messier. I'll tell you, it's unfortunate for Louisville because you had your chance to maybe try and gain some ground in terms of the ACC standings. You go and lose too. So like this was your chance to, obviously Duke would have the tiebreaker, but like to be able just to start making that ground up. I'll kind of take thoughts on either of these games here. Really, just is anything standing out? Andrew, I know you've been a big Clemson believer across the board. Like
my boy Poppy Clipboard.
Yeah, where are we at with these ones?
I don't know if I want to call it Poppy Clipboard, like PAPI clipboard, or like POPPIE clipboard, but it's Poppy.
Andre, don't ask how.
Yeah, it's Poppy Clipboard, man. That look, that final ATO to win the game, that was some diabolical work with the Sharpie. Like it was really impressive what they did. And this Clemson team, man, I mean, 19-9, they're looking right on the edge of sneaking into the NCAA tournament. Like this was a huge win for them, huge statement win for the program too. And he's building something fun, like building something really fun. And I know people aren't huge fans of Kenny Brooks and his general get down as a coach sometimes, but you know, guys that come off his tree or just coaches that come off his tree tend to be pretty good. And, you know, Poppy really was one of his biggest lieutenants at Virginia Tech before he went to UTC and built up that Chattanooga program again, who, you know, great coaching incubator at Chattanooga. Now, all of a sudden, here he is at Clemson, and the ACC is wide open. I thought Jeff Walz was going to get away with it again, but I think...
And then, guys,
I love it for Coach Mox. Genuinely, I want this Virginia team to be good because much like Ole Miss, that's another historically significant college basketball team. Dawn Staley, Debbie Ryan, the twins, like that. Yep, that was a real team, man, and I love them getting back.
That with Johnson and Clark, like that dynamic 1-2 punch at guard, right? Paris Clark, if I'm not mistaken.
For just that career.
I think Paris Clark was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school.
She was. She went to Arizona first.
Yeah. They've really figured things out, and they look like they're on the birth of an NCAA tournament bid as well. And yeah, these are 2 of the most dynamic scorers in college basketball, period, not just the ACC. So yeah, I'm hoping that they get one of those at-large bids, right? to rep the ACC so that more people can see them. And this is another example of like, you want these two players to stay and like fulfill the goal.
Yeah.
Right. UVA, obviously one of the best public schools in the country. Not hard to, not easy to be there as a student either. Right. But yeah, you want to see them fulfill their destinies as Cavaliers and bring this program back to its heyday.
I love the last four in right now are actually all very fun teams on their own. Colorado, Clemson, Virginia, Arizona State, according to Charlie Cream.
Ooh,
like
that's a hell of a group. That
is actually kind of fun. That's four. Those are four fun teams.
Yeah.
Man, I really like this. I really like this concept of Virginia building itself out. There's apparently, a massive influx of NIL money that's coming in from Alexis Ohanian, the CEO of Reddit, or former CEO, founder of Reddit. And some of that is earmarked for women's basketball. And I've always been a fan of Mox. Like, I think that she is a good coach. She was a great coach at Missouri State. She was the last coach to be like really one of those mid-major kind of giant killer programs. She took Missouri State to the Sweet 16 twice. And that is not easy to do in women's college basketball. And so it's taken a long time to build this up. And I think the ACC, I think just some of their finances, their TV deals, it's put them behind the eight ball in terms of keeping pace with the Big Ten and SEC, but they're getting there. Now, as for Duke and as for Louisville, it kind of, in a weird way, it feels like a return to form for the both of them. Like, I don't think, did y'all have them as like anything more than a surprise Elite Eight team? I didn't really have them as much more than a second weekend team. I didn't see that.
Duke, meaning, or both?
Duke and Louisville both.
Louisville, I had a little bit more belief in, I think, their ability to execute in late game situations. Like, I trusted a bit more. And then like Jeff is just incredibly battle tested. Duke, I kind of felt like it was not fool's gold, but like would not shock me if they were out in like a round of 32. So
yeah,
it could get wicked for the ACC, except Notre Dame.
Well,
I'm still believing. I'm sorry, and I know that doesn't have anything to do with the upsets, but I'm just really thrilled that Jeff Walls once again did not get away with it. I agree with Greer. He is very. He has the Iowa syndrome where he just pops up like, "How did you get here?" Still, but I choose to hate.
Jeff Walls for all of us is like that Simpson meme where like Mo throws Barney out of the bar and then Mo just like then Barney just shows up behind Mo again and you're just like, how'd you get back there, man? Like, that's Jeff Walls in the Elite Eight every single year. Every single year someone's like, let's throw Jeff Walls out of the Elite Eight, and Jeff Walls just shows back up in the Elite Eight. You're like, oh my God, what is happening here?
Georgia, if you are listening to me right now.
I have to give credit where credit is due to TCU today. They were down for large chunks of this game. Olivia Miles looked dead in the water at one point. She started 2 of 14 in this game. Going into the fourth was like 9.7 rebounds, 8 assists or something. Finishes with 26, 10, and 10. TCU outscores Iowa State 31-15 in the fourth. And I think TCU's more or less got the chokehold on the Big 12 regular season title again. Yeah. Shout out to my Buffaloes for beating Texas Tech this weekend. I still don't have any faith in Baylor whatsoever that when push comes to shove, they're going to be able to like win the game you need to win at the end of the season. But TCU, man, I mean, I still have questions about how well this Mark Campbell team can how far you can go when you don't have that really dominant big to play off and pick and roll. And Marta Suarez, you're doing it a little bit with her, but that's not the same as like 6'5", 6'6" type of center. Like imagine Clara Strack spamming pick and roll in that offense, right? Like that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's good for the Big 12, even if they don't have like a Final Four contender, an Elite Eight really contender team outside of TCU. I think having 4 or 5 teams that are top 25 Sweet 16 level teams, there's going to be a lot of good round of 32 games this year and a lot of really good Sweet 16 games this year. I don't think we're going to get a lot of like chalky blowouts until we get to the Elite Eight. This feels like outside of the 3 number 1 seeds who are probably going to march their way to the Final Four, I think it's about as open as it's ever been. you know.
Bro.
And I don't think we're going to get
Yeah.
mid-majors in there, but I think we're going to get some good ones. Sorry.
If we could go back to the ACC real quick,
Yes.
because I meant what I said. You can never make me hate Hannah Hidalgo. 31 points, 9 rebounds, 11 steals, bro. And I know it's SMU, but Adia Barnes was, you know, doing the Dawn Challenge. You know, I had higher expectations for her at SMU, coming from Arizona with the shade she threw. And, like, you know, I like some good hate or whatever you're doing, but it's just like, you came in talking kind of heavy, and now we haven't really heard from you. But Hannah Hidalgo, if you have big dog, you still in it. I'm sorry, almost a triple double with steals, a defensive triple double, bruh. She
Pretty
her
impressive, actually.
31 points. She is her, and I'm sorry, I can just never hate her. Get her
Now
some
that fifth All-American spot is gonna get so greasy. It already is. But man, like whoever makes it, you went through the gauntlet.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's a bird in here.
I'm about to say what's going on?
There's a bird.
My camera died, and then I've just been looking at your camera this entire time to figure out what's going on back there.
No, it's a bird.
Where's Manu? Like
there was a bird. There was a bird. I think it was the same bird that ended up on the court. There was a bird that ended up on the court.
Oh,
in the fourth quarter.
A bird lives in Memorial. That's all that is.
It is. And I'm just like, I will say this is kind of an old this is an old stadium, like an old arena, the Memorial Gym here at Vandy. But like it holds sound in really, really well. Like it's hard at this school to sell it out. It's like about 14,000 or so. And I'd say they're doing about like 4,000, 5,000 here, but the sound traps in here. And like Galvin's game winner in here was like really, really loud from the top end press box.
It sounded
that was me.
But yes, anyway, sorry. Yes, bird in the stadium.
I think
go Randy Johnson.
That's crazy. I think just one last game to talk about real quick. We can't ignore the Big Ten duel that we had, Ohio State USC with Jazzy and Jelani. Jazzy goes 32 points, 11 and 22, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 turnovers, which I mean not great. But 3 steals and a block. Jazzy's turned into immediately one of the best defenders in the country. Like that. Like she's up there with that. Like. Which makes her next to Juju even more terrifying than like it was just already on the offensive side of the ball. And then you had Jelani on the other side, 33 points, 6 rebounds, no assists, real hoops. That's what I'm talking about. With 3 steals of her own. I need to go back and watch this one in full because like I was covering games and everything because I need to see this. But Jazzy's been phenomenal and has really kind of turned it up in these last little bit. Jelani the same. I feel like Cambridge. I just don't think we've had enough discussion about her at all.
I wrote a whole piece about this in January, and it went nowhere.
Yeah, like
I had some of the biggest rebounds today for the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Her and her sister, both Kennedy, both of them played tremendous basketball today. And it was a tough game. USC kind of gave them everything they can. Right? I mean, they're trying to pick up like quality wins, right? In the last part of this, we know that they're not going to be hosting, but right, they're still trying to have a semblance of like we know what we're doing here, you know what I mean? And I think coming into the week, like this was a game that they thought was winnable for them, and then Jelani came in and was at a season high for her. If not, it was very close to it, and just commanded the game. Like no assists, no problem. Her fingerprints were everywhere on that game.
Ty, she's had 33. Oh no, she had 41 against Illinois. That's right. And then she's had 33 3 separate times. So 41 is the highest, and you have 33 3 times.
It really is amazing in the case of Blake's and Cambridge both that they really got swallowed up in the maw of like Juju Mania and Page's last season last year. And, you know, there were a lot and Hidalgo too, for that matter. Like there's a lot of really good guards. This might be one of the hardest first team All-American ballots to fill out in terms of the backcourt because you've got Blake's, you've got Cambridge, you've got who else is in there? Well, yep, AZ's in there. You know, you could probably pick out
five UCLA players.
Yeah, you've got multiple UCLA players. Like Hannah. You could pick through Hannah. You could go into the ACC and pull a couple of players out. Raven Johnson, Miles.
Hey man, Greer, woo, come on, Greer. Come on down too much, Greer. Come on.
Rory,
Rory Harmon. Like, this is like a hard ballot to file, and someone's gonna get left off that third team All-American spot.
That's and they'll have a case to be pissed. Is what's great. Like you can't even like. It'll be valid.
The biggest challenge next year for USC is going to be about whether or not you can make this a multi-pronged attack, and not have to do the Jazzy stand in the corner while Juju diagnoses and does this all herself.
They got another number one player coming in this year.
And look,
who was behind the bench today in Columbus. So.
And that, I think, is the thing that we need to keep in mind with USC going forward. And anyone who has, slack to give Lindsey Gottlieb, I understand it to a degree, but also kind of like the Kim Caldwell thing, like you're still bringing in big players. So like at the same time, like eventually there will be a put up or shut up here. I just don't think it's this one yet. Now the challenge next year is going to be you have 3 number 1 players. How do you make sure that everybody, including the parents, all play nice in the sandbox with each other? That is going to require a substantial effort. And if she can do that, then she's going to be fine, and that team is going to be fine. But I do like the idea that Jazzy is getting a taste this year of being the person and being like the number 1 person when it goes to you. How are you going to respond? Because next year when Juju does come back, guess what they're doing? They're throwing 2 at Juju. And it's going to come down to you to be the one to be the second. And you know what? If you're the second, that's a scary number.
Life's going to seem so much easier for Jazzy if you're able to just get that functioning, without hiccups. And the idea is that defenses have to choose between Jazzy and Juju. Good luck, dude. Like, I mean, like that. It'll be different for Juju in the sense of when you had TVO come in and you had Kiki Irifin come in, and like that aspect was different. Like, okay, you have some stars next to you, but the easiest life that she ever had was her freshman year when you had just shooters around you in that way. And they need to kind of find a way to figure out how to get back more to freshman year ease for Juju and your space on the floor. And for Jazzy, that kind of can go hand in hand.
I don't even think we've seen ease for Juju yet, if I'm being totally honest. I feel like that's the next part of the game for her is she looks like she's giving 100% all the time, right? And like we love that, obviously, as watchers of the game. But there's been no one who you would feel comfortable, like even Kiki to an extent, like had the pedigree, but they never had the fluidity or chemistry.
Agree.
Well, and I think to that point, Greer, the lesson and the example to take is where I am right now. You don't necessarily need a Kiki Irifin. You just need a good rim protector who can play defensively and rebound, and someone who can rim run on the other side for you. And then you just let Juju, Jazzy, Sanaya, Kennedy.
They need
Smith
Rhea Marshall. Like it's
that's actually
that's the comp to me. Like that is like, I mean, what you saw with Marshall, and it got a little bit convoluted, I feel like, when you brought in the transfers with that, but like that's like the perfect player in my mind to put next to a Juju, and then you add in, it's the same way with Jazzy, and you just have multiple people that can go and attack in that way.
They don't need to be a scorer. They just need to be a rebounder and rim runner.
Yeah. So when you add in these top recruits that are not, I don't consider them bigs fully, but they are certainly taller and longer than your Jujus and Jazzies. And we'll see how they can protect the rim in comparison to if they're playing on the wing and whatnot when it comes to the freshmen coming in. But if you're able, and I don't know exactly who that is off the top of my head when it comes to finding that Marshall comp, if you can go add that in the transfer portal, that's the only thing you need to add from the portal. Like that, that's it. Like you don't need to go and splurge on a star or anything of that nature. You can just go find you a rim protector like Marshall, and you are going to be set like in that way. I did want to ask one more question before we hop off here. To bring it back to Cambridge, I'm just gonna throw it out there, and if we don't like it, we don't like it. Is there an argument for Big Ten Player of the Year over Lauren Betts?
Yes.
Where are they ranked right now? Are they second?
Let me look for sure.
I believe so.
But that sounds correct.
Because Minnesota just lost to Michigan State as we were recording this, so that took Minnesota down to, I think, 12-6. No, it's UCLA, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State is one game back from Iowa and Michigan. UCLA is running away with this. They're like 4 they're like 4 games ahead right now.
So like you look at the stats here for Cambridge, you're talking 22 points a game on 50% shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and that's not even getting into the steals aspect as well. Lauren Betts, obviously incredibly dominant. Like, I mean, there's no like getting around that by any means, but you add in the other aspects of it. Not the counting stats are a little bit lower for Betts. Obviously, you have the players surrounding Betts at UCLA. I don't know if I'm ready to say like that Cambridge should be Big Ten Player of the Year, but like we haven't really had that dialogue with it, and I think we've certainly reached a point to at minimum that it's a legit discussion that we need to have before casting the ballots and just kind of putting in, having in pen from earlier in the season with Lauren Betts that she is Big Ten Player of the Year. And that's not even a knock to Betts. Cambridge has just been ridiculous this season.
I don't know if we've been into like unanimous territory really with college players like that, but I think the fact that Betts is anchoring a top 5 offense and defense just really matters.
It's the Sarah Strong versus Blake's argument in miniature. That's really
to
what
a
it comes
degree,
down to.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I'm intrigued because I really do think that it's like a legit conversation that we need to have. Yeah. Hearts and minds clear? We good?
If you haven't watched Michaela Blake's, don't wait until the tournament, bro. Like we are 2 30+ point performances away from her being the first player ever in the SEC to average over 30 points per game in a season. The second closest that I could find, like I said, AIAW. So you're quite literally watching something. Think about all the amazing players that have come through the SEC. You are watching something none of them have ever gotten even remotely close to doing before.
All-time greats, dog.
All-time greats.
I can make a top 5. I can make a starting 5 that would make people cry, and she wouldn't be on. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, she's in the territory of arguably the best SEC player of all time, which is, for my money, Shamika Holtzclaw. Like, she's in that territory of player, but she's far outpacing her in the scoring category. I mean, it's like I said, dude, this is actually preposterous, and we have to make sure that the energy is equivalent, because 2 more 30-point performances, she's probably up in the scoring average tier. That's right near where Juju was when Juju won her Player of the Year at 27.2. She'll probably end the year around 26.9, 27.0. Gotta give credit where it's due. Gotta shine the light where it should be.
And this is amongst also like SEC guards who are having career years too, by the way.
Yeah, like we just ran through all of them.
The Danny Carnegie's, like these girls are balling each individually this year. Mm-hmm. And Michaela's saying no, but I'm up here though.
Yep. I'm gonna say it's also slightly higher than Caitlin Clark the year she got robbed. Take us out, Tyler.
You know what's so funny about that is that my mouse just disconnected. So Andrew, you get to take us out today.
Oh, fantastic!
I get all the I don't know what is going on over here. I broke everything down to go down to Austin for our live event, which live event was fantastic. We can't wait to do more of those, by the way. So make sure you all come out for that when the time comes. Like be ready, be locked in. Andrew, I'll let you take us out, big dog, because stuff's getting wicked over here. I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. I'll wrap it up with just one final fact that Michaela Blake's has played 4 top 16 opponents in 3 weeks and has averaged like 34 points per game at minimum. Anywho, for Shawnee, for Greer, for Tyler, we did indeed do it, Joe. This has been No Cap Space. As always, subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're on the hunt for 7,000 subscribers. We're trying to get over 10K by the time we hit the WNBA season, if we have a WNBA season. If you want more basketball news, if you want all of the best and most breathless and most comprehensive and funnest and most enjoyable and most knowledgeable women's hoops coverage anywhere on the internet, head to nocapspacewbb.com, subscribe to our free daily newsletter, tell a friend to subscribe to the free daily newsletter. And if you want to be a ball knower, you get access to the Discord, you get access to our specialty, because, we talk about things that sometimes can't go here, but they go for the ball knowers. So if you want all the insider information, head there immediately. For all of us 4, we're wrapping this up. We'll see you all this week for Ball Up Top.